This webinar is hosted by European Capital of Democracy, our nonprofit organization based in Vienna, Austria. And today we have contributions from three fantastic cities, the city of Antwerp, the city of Barcelona, and the city of Bratislava. I already mentioned that the webinar is recorded to be shared with participants who cannot make it and for documentation. Yes. We will have three presentations now by our city experts. But before that, I will tell you a few words about ECOD. We have been launched in 2021 as a Europe-wide organization to help make democracy more resilient and innovative. We're a daughter company of the Innovation in Politics Institute, which is mostly known for the Innovation in Politics Awards and the ECMA Mayors Conference it has been organizing in the last years. And we have offices in Vienna and Berlin and a network across Europe. You can see here, and thank you for updating this slide already, our network of 24 cities from 15 European countries. For those of you who are repeating visitors or participants in the webinars, you might notice that we increased the cities and countries here. This is due to our latest group of applicant cities that want to become Capital of Democracy 2026. The information has not gone out yet, so you're the first ones to learn about those new cities, but it will go out today. And as you might also have noticed, if you join our social media channels, which you should do, that we just closed our democracy year in Barcelona on 6th of November as a part of the Smart City World Expo Congress, and also with an artistic intervention called Expressions of Democracy. And we just opened the democracy year here in Vienna, the second European capital of democracy, yesterday with a big audience and a very nice ceremony. The whole project, the city network, is supported by a network of towns, the European Union, which provides funding until next August. It's basically a series of in-person meetings between cities, the members of our city network, and monthly webinars that we do together with cities and experts. Webinars are either Cities Teach or Cities Learn. And today we have Cities Teach with City of Bratislava, City of Antwerp, and City of Barcelona sharing their best practice. The topic of today are examples of senior and intergenerational participation. And we're very happy to look into this important topic together. This is what expects us today. We're already in the middle of the introduction and almost approaching presentation one. Before we do that, I would like to hand over to the city of Antwerp to briefly introduce the speakers and the background of your project before you start your presentation. So please, I think it's Maria presenting today. The floor is yours, and I hope you can unmute yourself and share the screen as we test it.
Yeah, okay. My name is Marije Plantinga. I'm a project leader about youth unemployment for the city of Antwerp. And my co-host is Andrea.
Yes, I will be presenting together with Marije because we work together with the city of Antwerp by using an intergenerational, intercultural mentoring program to bridge employment gaps and intergenerational differences with Duo for a Job, an European NGO.
Fantastic. So the floor is yours.
Right.
You can start the presentation. And as I mentioned before, there will be time to ask questions and exchange with the presenters after the three presentations.
Yes. Okay. So, well, let's start. We already introduced ourselves. Okay. So, Antwerp is also known for its diamonds. It's the world's most important center for diamond trade. Architecture, here are some examples of the central station, our cathedral, Onze Lieve Vrouwen Cathedral. Then maybe you have already experienced some Belgian beers or chocolates. And Antwerp is also a fashion capital. But maybe that's something you don't know. it's also very diverse. So it has more than 170 different nationalities living in Antwerp, making it one of the most diverse cities in Belgium and even in Europe. So when it comes to Antwerp itself as a city, it has over 455,000 inhabitants. 61% of them are in our working age group. It's 18 till 64 years. And 10% of them are unemployed. They are also job seekers, meaning they are registered at the VDAB. That's our Flemish Public Employment Services. And when we look at that group, 30% of them are younger than 30 years. And within that group, 58% of them has a non-European migrant background. When we look at that group, young people from migrant backgrounds, they have more difficulties assessing the labor market. And it has some special reasons because maybe you can understand the language barrier. Dutch is often essential and required for employment in Flanders, especially in Antwerp. They also have a lack of necessary tools like their CV cover letter. The CV is not tailored to what employments expect that has to be put on a CV. They also don't know how to conduct job interviews. They also have a lack of knowledge about the job market in Antwerp. They have a lack of experience working on the Flemish job market, but also very important, they have a lack of relevant network because others have a network through family, school, or friends connections, and networking is very crucial for finding job opportunities. On the other hand, we see that the experience and skills of over 50-year-olds are not sufficiently valued. We see that employers sometimes hold age stereotypes, meaning they think that older workers are less adaptable to new technologies. They are unable to work well with younger colleagues, or they feel discomfort when they are managed by a younger manager. They might learn slower new skills, or they are resistant to change. But they may fail the employers to recognize that over 50-year-olds have extensive networks, leadership skills, and knowledge. So for us, for the city of Antwerp, Due for a Job bring both worlds together.
Indeed. That is what we do together with the city of Antwerp. We are an NGO that's very happy to be able to bring our 10 years of experience with intergenerational mentoring to the city, to bring both groups together so they can learn from each other. We started about 10 years ago in Brussels with 3 goals. On the one hand, to improve job chances for youngsters with a migration background. Second, to appreciate and value the skills and the experience of 50-year-olds or older. And third, to bring those 2 groups together. And in that way, to bring 2 groups together that would probably not meet through hobbies, through networks, or just spontaneously, but that get to know each other, that get to trust each other. And in this way, we strengthen social cohesion and solidarity. And now, who are the 2 groups that we bring together exactly? First of all, on the one hand, we have the young people looking for a job. We call them the mentees. They are between 18 and 33 years old, have a non-European migration background, meaning that they or their parents or their grandparents were born outside of Europe. And we focus on this group because we see in labor market studies that these are one of the most vulnerable on the labor market. And third, they have a residence permit that allows them to work in Belgium. So they are not in an asylum procedure. If they would be refugees, they have already received permission to stay in Belgium. And we connect them with the mentors. Now, who are they? First of all, we make an age selection. We want to focus on the most experienced people, both with regard to life and professional experience. So they have to be 50 years or older. There's no maximum limit. My oldest mentor here in Antwerp is 80 years old and still very active. The only requirement next to age that we have for them is that they have a professional experience that they want to share with young people. About 50% of them are retired, and about 50% of them are still professionally active. They can do this both as a volunteer, but we also work together with companies who allow their most experienced employees to be a mentor with Duo for a Job in order to bring intercultural experience, coaching experience to the work floor. And they engage themselves for about 2 hours a week for 6 months to support a young person. And well, I said it, we have been doing this for over 10 years. We're active in Antwerp, which is where I work, but we are also active in, well, 2 other European countries in 17 cities. You can find more of that about that on our website. You can find us in Belgium, France, and the Netherlands at the moment. We've guided over 8,000 youngsters to a job or a training, and about from those, about 1,200 were here in Antwerp. To give you an idea, in Antwerp, we do that with a community of around 300 active mentors. That doesn't mean they're all at the moment guiding a youngster. Sometimes they take a break, but this is the community that we can count on. And we support that with 8 employees in Antwerp. Now, how do we work? That's an important one. How do we make mentoring to work? We have developed a sound methodology based on our own experience, but also on scientific studies into mentoring to work. And we start with, for both parties, so for the mentors and the mentees, with an info session to make sure that expectations are aligned. They also have an intake conversation, so we can get to know them well, so we can make sure expectations are aligned with our program. After that, the mentors, only the mentors, get a training, which is obligatory for them, in which we immerse them for a full week into the world of young people, into the history of migration in Belgium. They get a training on intercultural coaching, on coaching young people, and also get to know Duo for a Job and how we operate. After that, when the mentors are trained, they are ready to be matched. And that's a very exciting moment. It's the moment that we, with our full team here in Antwerp, look for the right mentor for each mentee. We try to work very tailor-made. So we look at not only which sector they are looking for a job or a training, but also their personality, their specific needs. Are they vulnerable? Do they have, for example, some trauma from their refugee trajectory? What language do they speak? Would they like to work with a man or a woman? Are there any specific needs that they have? And for all these parameters, we look for the right mentor. As I said, we have a pool of about 300 mentors with very diverse profiles, so it allows us to find the right fit for every mentee. After that, we do a proposal, they meet each other, and it's after their first meeting that they decide themselves if they have the chemistry, if they feel like it's a good match or not. That's again very important, that it's a voluntary decision of the both of them. Most of the times they are really happy to start, and then they start a 6-month trajectory, supervised also by me or one of my colleagues. So they always have a Duo employee to support them and to answer questions. And then we evaluate the Duo at the end with a conversation and also a survey, and that's where a lot of the data that you will see later comes from. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. We thought it would be interesting to share some of the challenges and learnings that we gained from 10 years of organizing this. And I think with mentoring to work, working intergenerationally and interculturally, there's a few pitfalls that are important to be aware of and around which we have developed our methodology. The first is you're bringing together two people with very different backgrounds in an intensive relationship of 6 months that is based on trust. So it's really important to make sure the right context is there. And how do we do that? I told you already, we have an obligatory training for mentors that brings them into all the contexts that our mentees are coming from. And second, during their program, mentors also have to take part in 2 intervisions where they get feedback from other mentees and an external expert in mentoring and coaching. In this way, we train them, we train the trainer, so to say, so that they learn about how to handle that well. Second, we're also bringing together 2 people with very different levels of experience. And key to mentoring is mutual trust and also equality in the relationship. So every part of our process emphasizes that equality, emphasizes you're both here to learn, you're equal partners in this learning relationship. And that is really important that we mention that at every step of the way, both towards the mentees and the mentors. In addition to that, it's also at every step emphasized towards the mentee, the young person looking for a job, that the program and also the choice of a mentor is always voluntary and that there are no obligations. They can choose who they work with, and at all times we can stop the program if there would be any issue. And that's really important to make sure that the power balance from the start is equal. Third, when you work with volunteers, that's often a challenge to find them and also to retain them. With Duo, I'm very fortunate. I've worked with volunteers earlier in my career too. We have a really good inflow and also retainment rate. 80% of our mentors start a new program after their first. How do we do that? Well, first of all, we really focus on word of mouth. Many of our mentors bring in new mentors that they think would be a great fit with our program. Second, for the volunteering, it's a very clearly defined commitment, 6 months, 2 hours a week. And third, there's constantly professional support available from a Duo employee in case you need it. And now, well, to the impact. As I said, we get that from the evaluations, and I'm very happy to share that 7 out of 10 people that participate in the program find a job, an internship or training within 12 months. That's a high success rate that we're really proud of. Also, they feel more independent in finding a job. They have defined a career plan in 68% of the cases. Almost 80% have expanded their network and 78% improved their language. On the part of the mentors, as I said, they learn too. You can go to the next slide. We see that 85% said, I felt more useful to society in doing this. 88% said, I understand the context of young people with migration background a lot better. 83% said, I've improved my coaching skills. And 77% said, I learned more about intercultural relations. Even 67% said that the program challenged their view of society. So these are, I think, numbers that show that both mentors and mentees learn a lot from this intergenerational and intercultural exchange. So to conclude, both from Marije and me, with mentoring, we organize a reciprocal relationship that tailors to both the needs of the mentors and the mentees, through which they both learn, both professionally and personally. and in which we can enhance the job chances of young people with a migration background and the participation of seniors in our society. So thank you very much. Looking forward to your questions in the exchange later.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for this great presentation, and perfectly on time as well, which gives me the chance to hand over to the city of Barcelona, who will present the Cibernarium Digital-Skill Test, an intersectional and data-driven approach to foster digital inclusion. Looking forward to hear about that. Over to you, Laura.
Good morning, everyone. Greetings from here from Barcelona. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Laura Copete. I'm the Digital Inclusion Manager at Barcelona Activa, which is the economic development agency of the city of Barcelona. And as Stefan mentioned, I'm going to be talking about the digital skills test that we launched a couple of years ago, especially because during the Braga meeting we had with the city network last month, one of the main issues that came up between different member cities was the fact of digital exclusion as an issue in terms of senior participation. As I said, I'm gonna be talking about the digital skills test. Cibernarium, just so you know and have a little bit of context, is a center for digital training, any type of training that has been going on for over 25 years. And this digital skill test has been kind of a game changer for us, and it's something we've launched quite recently, over a little bit over 2 years ago. So here's lovely Barcelona. Just to give you a little bit of context, Barcelona is a big city. We have roughly 1.7 million inhabitants. We have 10 districts, and each district is very particular on its own. So even though we have one city, in terms of territory, it can change not only the socio-demographic background of each district, but the income, which makes it very difficult for us when it comes to doing a digital inclusion strategy. In terms of what we've been doing, we pioneered a public service in terms of public and public-private partnerships in 2010. So we've been doing this nearly 15 years now. We have right now currently an extensive network of 15 points that you can actually go and get training in digital literacy. And we also have an online platform, so you can do that from home or from whenever you want. And then we have a wide-ranging catalog. So we have over 40 different types of activities. These trainings are characterized by the fact that they're free. They're available to absolutely anyone. We have no requirement. It doesn't really even matter if you live or not in Barcelona. You have access to this public service. And they're also very short in duration. So usually it takes only 2 or 4 hours to do a very specific training. And the idea is that people will do several of these in order to, to improve the skills that they're not developed very well yet. So, 40 might seem like a lot. I know several cities might have a similar system of doing this little trainings. But for us, one of the things we do is we change the catalog a lot, because what is digital literacy and what it means to be excluded or not has changed a lot and will continue to change. So a couple of years back, it was basically just being able to turn on a computer and maybe access an email. Right now, if you want to check out your bank statement, you have to do that through your mobile phone as well. So, it's changed a lot what it means, and then we try to make sure that no one is left behind. So, as I mentioned, nearly 15 years of experience. With the pandemic, we had to adapt. So we started that online platform to make sure that people could get training from home. As you can see, we've reached over 170,000 people that have attended these trainings. and that adds up to 35,000 people, different people. So, I mean, this is the aggregate. So you see all the experience we've been doing and the scale of it. But for us, it's not just about the numbers, but it's about the people. So who are these people? Where do they come from? What is their socioeconomic background? Because it's the best way that we can address digital exclusion. So there's no surprise there. Here you can have a snapshot of the demographic of the people that have trained with us over the course of this year. So as you can see, mostly women. That's not really surprising for us, and mostly older people. So nearly 40% of the people that have done training with us this year, they are 60 or over, which means they're senior citizens. And one of the things that is very important is that adds up to nearly 1,500 seniors. As I mentioned, it doesn't really matter if you live in Barcelona or not. So we have over a quarter of the people who do the training, they don't actually live in Barcelona. So they either commute to the city to access the service, or they access it remotely through the online platform we have. And then, I mean, we are an economic agency, so we do focus a lot on the employment status. And then we can see that there's a lot of people who do these trainings that are either unemployed or retired, but there's also people that also are already in the labor market and they want to do upskilling, because that's one of the things as well, that the labor market has digitized so quickly that nowadays a lot of people need skills that they didn't learn at university or they didn't learn when they were younger. So all of this to say is that we've been doing digital literacy for a long time. And through this experience, which as you've seen, we've gone through a lot of different groups, especially seniors, we came up with a big challenge on the go. So the big challenge we're facing right now, and we've been facing for a couple of years, is the fact that the digital divide is not a linear issue and it's not static. It is complex and it is evolving. Because it evolves as technology evolves, as society evolves and digitalizes, and as well, it is influenced by socioeconomic factors, which is why we focus on the inclusion part of it. So this big challenge that we've come across has two different levels in terms of more specific challenges we're facing. So we have the individual level. So our main issue is people are not aware of their digital skills. They don't know what level they are. They don't know about like what in general are digital skills. And that is a big obstacle when it comes to start training, because they don't even know where to begin. And then this lack of awareness is also linked to the fact that there are a lot of prejudices. So you hear digital literacy and a lot of people think, oh no, I'm not illiterate. So like, that's not for me because I do have the skills. Like I might not be tech savvy, but I can use a computer a little bit. But then they're still in the digital divide. And we also have the prejudice on the other side around. So we have seniors that they say technology is not for me. I don't really understand these things. I have no idea whatsoever. But it is because they don't have an objective way of measuring what their level is. And then in terms of a municipal level, we have a big issue, and I'm assuming that's something that a lot of cities here and in the network might be facing, and is the fact of lack of data. So there are several national surveys, there are statistics at the European level, but they're very macro. And they're not, that they do them like once every 2 or 3 years. So for instance, in Barcelona, the last published data we have is in 2020. And as you can imagine, since the pandemic hit, things have changed a lot. And then the fact that we don't have this up-to-date data means that we're trying to address an issue that we sort of think what the main factors are, but we don't know it for sure. So it makes it very hard for us to adjust our services and to design public policy that it's really going to apply and to be efficient to the context of the city of Barcelona. So in that sense, we started thinking, what can we do? And the first thing we decided is we had to partner up to come up with a common framework. What are digital skills? I mean, if people don't know what digital skills, maybe we should try and find what they are for us and make sure everyone's speaking the same language. So in that sense, in 2019, we created collectively with universities and with different levels of government, a digital skills map that is based on the skills that were identified by the European Union, but kind of like taking them down to the context of Barcelona and the region of Catalonia. And since then, we started doing digital skills congresses every 1 or 2 years to make sure that this was an issue that was kept in the agenda, but also that would help us develop this kind of partnerships. So over the next 3 years, we developed a skill test, which is based on the map, which is based on this common framework we agreed upon. And it's it's a very simple test you can do online. That I'll speak more about later. But as I said, we've been just doing this just because we launched it in October, so just 2 years. And then in terms of growing the ecosystem and the partnerships, in 2023, we joined Generación D, which is an initiative at a Spanish level, so at a national level, trying to coordinate this kind of initiatives that have to do with digital literacy and digital skills to make sure everyone is going more or less with the same roadmap. So as I mentioned, we've worked with the government of Catalonia, we've worked with 2 universities on this, and we've worked with the national level partnership in terms of Spain. And we came up with the digital skills test. So what we like about this test is that it's centered on the citizen, is centered on the person. So it helps them assess in an objective way their skill level at any given time. So that helps that issue of not knowing where I'm at. But it also gives you a detailed report with your results. So you can see, for instance, here the little graphs, which the level of skill you have in each area, which also helps with people learning and knowing about this framework of digital skills we're working on. But the most important thing we have is that this test automatically, based on your result, it gives you personalized recommendation on the free activities we offered. So it's a call to action. It's a do this test. We help you out with this result to know what type of activities you can start with. And again, everything is free, but a lot of the issues is not knowing where even to start. So we launched the test, as I mentioned, over 2 years ago. And since then, we've had over 11,000 tests taken. So that means that 11,000 people have done this test and have benefited from the fact of having this tool, let them know more or less where their skill level is at, but also how they can improve it. So for us, it's also a lot about empowerment and the call to action of saying like, here you are. And you also, these tests, some of them are taken by the same person twice, because people also like tracking their progress. Is also an incentive to say, here I start, I've been doing trainings for 6 months, where am I now? So it's an easy way for people to also try and think in this lifelong learning methodology of I'm going to keep on doing stuff, I'm going to keep on learning. But then the flip side of this is how this digital skill test helps us as Barcelona to understand our digital divide. So this 11,000 tests gives us a snapshot of how the city is doing right now. So we have, in the framework of digital skills, we have 5 big areas. So one of the things we see from the very beginning is the fact that it is not one skill, it is not one thing, it's 5 different things, which means that people might be doing very well in certain levels, but not in another. And one of the things that worries us a lot is the fact that it's become evident that women have a lower level of digital skills than men. So not only understanding our digital divide is something that's very useful for the city of Barcelona, but it's the fact that with this, we can tailor our digital inclusion strategy. So here's when it comes in terms of senior participation, here we have the data to know, okay, what is really going on with the seniors. So we can tell you can see that it's not just people from above the age of 60, and it's not the same for people that are 60 that from the people that are 90 years old. Like the level of skills changes and the needs they have are not the same. So it really helps us dig down into the detail of how to tailor our strategy, how to make sure that our services are useful for the people in Barcelona. And it's not just about age, which is one of the big factors we've come across, and you can clearly see this in this graph, but we've also have the ability to see how the education level or how the employment status are things that are also affecting the digital level skills. Or for instance, for us, it's very valuable to know how this level of skills varies across the different districts of Barcelona, and how the fact that the income of the districts is not the same might be an explanation on those differences. So, I mean, to wrap up, because I think I'm roughly over time, or I don't know. I mean, we wanted to highlight this project. Okay, good. We wanted to highlight this initiative first because we know a lot of cities are concerned about digital inclusion, and I think the fact of having the digital trainings might be a very widespread tactic and initiative in different European cities. But this test has been a game changer for us, so we wanted to share our experience with it. But also for the fact that the nice things about this is that basically senior citizens, by taking the test, they're helping us design public policy. And they're giving us the data so we can tailor the services for their needs, not for what we think people need, but what they actually need. So I would like just to highlight 5 things that I think apply to this project, but might also apply to other different types of initiatives, whether they're related to digital inclusion or not. And is one, I would highlight the fact that it's a common framework. So we took a European standard, we saw how it would apply to our regional level, and then we took it down to make sure it applied to the level of Barcelona. And everyone, like for us, I mean, I imagine for a lot of cities, we have different types of different levels of government, and making sure everyone is aligned, it's a challenge on its own. Then the fact that it's a people-centric tool. So above all is to make sure that people can access a service in a way that it's easier, that it's personalized, and that it's in terms of high quality, and that empowers them. Then the fact that it enables to monitor progress and to promote lifelong learning, not just in an individual level, me as an individual knowing how I'm progressing through my digital skills level, but also in terms of the city, to know how is the citizen or the city of Barcelona progressing in terms of this. And also this kind of like, it changes so quickly that perhaps right now I don't need training, but I might need it 5 years from now. I think probably we all will. So this kind of idea of lifelong learning, that I can take it up in 5 years, do the test again, and I'm gonna have the recommendations that apply to that given point in my life. Then the fact that it's real-time diagnosis. So we're addressing an issue that now we have the data to understand better and to take immediate action. We don't have to wait every 5 years when a survey is published. And then the fact that it's data-driven policy design. So we're not just doing this out of collecting data, but we're making sure we're applying. So for instance, it helps us understand who is the audience we have to tailor our services to, how are we reaching them, are we given training on certain type of things that the city of Barcelona doesn't really need it, do we need to do more, like to open up more spaces to do this training in certain districts that maybe have a lower level of digital skills. So it really helps us to design and tailor our digital literacy initiatives. And that's basically it. I know you're going to be doing questions later on when we split up, but I just wanted to mention that this is like the test is in English. You can find it in our website. So if you're curious, as I said, you don't have to live in Barcelona. You just have to create an account in Barcelona Activa. If you're curious of applying this to your city or learning from our experience in this type of project, we'll be more than happy to help.
Great. Thank you, Laura. It was hard to interrupt you there because you were on a roll and it's also interesting, but we do have more time to go into detail in the breakout a little bit. Now, I would love to hand over to the city of Bratislava, giving an overview of their project support for active aging and participation of seniors.
So my name is Eva Surokova. I'm here with my colleague Ingrid Tomešová. We both work in the Department of Social Support for Seniors and People with Disabilities, and we would like to share some information about the activities we do for older citizens activization and participation in Bratislava. Just short introduction about our city. Bratislava is the capital city of Slovakia. It's also the biggest city in Slovakia. It is divided in 17 city districts, which each have their own municipality parliament, and we have divided competencies between the city and the city district, and we have something under 500,000 inhabitants. Some information about the age structure of our population. So around 90,000 citizens are 60 years old or older. Is the third biggest age category in the city, and according to the population prognosis, the population of the senior age is growing, and it will be growing also in the following years. So what we are trying to do is ensure the inclusion and participation of older citizens. We focus on three main areas, we can say. The first is communication, then building communities, and third is participation, and we will discuss this a bit further now. So in the field of communication, we know that for our seniors, the main source of information is still print media and direct contact. That's why we use our city magazine that is distributed to the household in Bratislava for free, to inform about what city does for seniors, about we introduce the non-governmental organizations that work with seniors. We promote events so people can find the information and can join the activities. We also have a first contact office where people can directly come and get information. We created leaflets and brochures about social services available in Bratislava by various stakeholders, so people can get an overview and information when they need help with anything. We also have website and social networks that we promote, and some of our non-governmental organizations also work with digital literacy, so we try to promote these too. And also when we organize the events like the Summer Senior University or the public session of the Senior Council, we invite the non-governmental organization and other stakeholders to join in so they can interconnect with the older citizens. In the area of communities, we have a capacity building program for non-governmental organization and volunteer organization. We realized that it cannot be done only by us at the city, so we are trying to support the development of the organization. We do it, one way of doing it is by the subsidy call that we have since the year 2002. Its goal is to support intergenerational activities, active aging, education, and building capacities of this organization. In this year, we had the budget of 70,000 euro. 22 organizations applied, and 13 of them succeeded with their project, and so we divided the money between them, and they all they realized the projects this year. What we were also able to do in this year was training for 10 members of non-governmental organizations. They went to our partner organization in Prague, Elpida, and they went through a senior friendly teacher training program. So we hope they will bring what they learned to their practice and do some more of this in Bratislava also. And the third area that we would like to talk about is the participation, and that is the Majors Council for the Rights of Older Citizens. And I'll ask Ingrid to tell you some more information about this.
Yes, sir. As you mentioned, the third area is participation, and so we would like to share our experience with the Mayor's Council for the Rights of Older Citizens. So let me introduce this body. It is a permanent advisory body to the Mayor of Bratislava. Its goals are improving quality of life of older citizens, ensuring closer cooperation of stakeholders, and of course, addressing the issues of the status of older citizens living in the city. So in 2022 and 2023, we knew that there had been the need to ensure the older citizens' participation and NGO participation. And the question was, how could we do that? And the answer was, so it's necessary to change this advisory body. So amendment of the statute was approved in 2023. And the main goals of this amendment were encourage all the citizens' participation, increase NGO participation, and also support the council and city council cooperation. As I mentioned, and how to achieve these three goals. And we try to achieve these three goals by three significant changes in the statute. And the first was in the process of members' nominations and selection. This was achieved by the open call for candidates. This open call was published in Bratislava website. We also shared this information with NGO organizations, with the city districts, and each city district could submit 2 candidates, and NGOs could submit 1 candidate. And we have the summary numbers are that city districts submitted 24 nominations and NGO submitted 17 nominations. And then this process was followed by the selection process. The committee assessed the nominations based on CV and also on experiences of this candidate, and 25 new members were appointed. The second goal was to improve cooperation between the new council and the Commission of the Social Affairs of Bratislava. And we have achieved this in the way that the council resolutions are submitted compulsory to the Commission of the Social Affairs of Bratislava and discussed in this commission. And the second goal was that we want to support sharing information, networking, and also participation of all the citizens. And it was the public session of the council were introduced in 2023. So just to summarize some information, so nowadays the council has 25 members, 17 members representing city districts, 1 from each city district, and 7 members representing NGO organizations, plus chairperson.
So just to summarize, how have citizens benefited from these interventions? The active older citizens could become the members of the council. The council members' contact details are published on the Bratislava website, so the older citizens can contact them with their suggestions and questions, which then they bring to the council. The older citizens can take part in the public sessions of the council. And as the result that we see from the change is that the council became more active. In last year, we were focusing on topics of public transportation system and parking policy, which the city is doing in the last 2 years. And we received around 40 proposals and questions from the members of the council. And in the last 2 years, also the council has adopted 5 resolutions that were then discussed with the social committee, and they're also published, and all this information are published on the Bratislava website. So it's available to everyone to read. So that's the information from us. If you care or are interested in anything more, you can contact us, and we will be also open to the discussion section. Thank you.
Thank you so much to both of you. Yes, there is indeed more time to discuss in the breakout sessions that will start now. Also, I think we will share presentations if you agree with the participants of this webinar, so you can look at all the slides and information in more detail. I already see a question or a comment in the chat, and I would, oh, someone needs to leave. That is a pity, but see you next time. And for everybody else, I would now open the breakout rooms. There is 3 rooms for each city, 1 of them. And they are moderated by Elena, Mattis, and me today. So please, you can switch the room. You will be assigned automatically to one, but if you prefer a different one, please switch the room. Thank you, and see you in the smaller groups in a minute. All right, let's see. Is everybody back already from the breakouts? Not sure.
Oh, hello. We could not finish, and I'm sorry, Andrea. I think it was very interesting, and I'm sorry we did not have time to finalize the last words. Yeah, apologies. I sent 2 messages, one 5 minutes before the breakout was closing, and 1 minute before it closes. But it means it was very interesting. Fantastic, because now, Elena, if you want to start, you can share what was discussed in your breakout room, and maybe we can even answer this last question. I apologize if there was an interruption. Please,
no
make
worries.
it short
I
and
think
swift.
if Andrea is also open, maybe we can have more information to follow up by email or something, and it will be very interesting for all the participants as well. But first of all, I'm very impressed, and it's the program itself. It's very interesting and very, very valid for all the cities are involved in this, and I think it would be also very good to use for the other cities as well. For me, the most interesting, and I think for the other people, is like how they're handling and how their process itself in the program there is. It's especially like the gender based challenge or other challenges, and how even legal issues, how can we deal afterwards, because this is not an easy job what they're doing, and it's something that's very important to always bring up, and with people with different backgrounds, different kind of professional backgrounds especially, and it's very challenging. And it was very nice to hear from into the depth. So I think this is my summary in a nutshell. But again, Andrea, thank you so much, and also Marie, thank you, the city of Antwerp. And if there's any follow-ups, maybe we can also follow up by email.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Our contact details are in the presentation that will be shared. So very welcome to contact us.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you all for this great exchange and summary. Mattis, would you like to continue?
Yeah, we had an interesting discussion as well. We talked about more technical questions. So how long is the term? What are the criteria for becoming a member? How do they work together with the city council and the districts? And then we discussed also the most relevant topics for senior citizens, how to reach also silent groups who do not actively participate just because they're lacking resources or the awareness to be able to participate. And last but not least, we also tackled the question what other cities can learn from Bratislava, what needs to be done to set up a good process to involve senior citizens in public participation schemes. So it was a nice and interesting discussion also from my side. Thank you for your openness and also, more importantly, for your very important work to involve senior citizens in your city.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for the questions. And we all hope we'll stay in touch and maybe get some more questions. Also, our contacts are in the presentation. So, thanks.
Fantastic. Yes, this was not the last chance to meet and exchange on relevant topics. Thank you for the summary. Thank you for the breakout discussion. I was with the city of Barcelona, and we discussed that it's not so easy to select from over 400 different types of activities and trainings because the needs are very individual. Of course, user experience, user design can always be improved, and it should be done early in the process. This is a learning that Barcelona had. Of course, they're thinking about integrating AI and having a chatbot, but also this is not the right solution for everybody. So the human touch should not be lost. And on the one hand, AI will facilitate the selection of the trainings. On the other hand, there will be personal coaches in a safe and secure environment for people who prefer this approach. Also, they will be rolling out new services, but want to develop digital codices first, which is very important. What else did we discuss? There are digital certificates, and it is very important to also be transparent about data-driven policies. So ideally, publish the data that you collect and use for policy decisions or for internal guidance. I think that was it. We will also share a few links and background information with the documentation of the webinar. Again, thank you everybody who presented and who was asking questions. I will now finish the webinar by going back to the presentation. And then you have the last word, because you can, first of all, fill the evaluation that you hopefully see in the chat already, but also share your thoughts via Mentimeter in a minute. So today we accomplished together the 10th webinar of our series of webinars and meetings on intergenerational participation. You can see it here. The next one is approaching in December, and we're continuing this work thanks to Laura's tireless efforts next year until August of next year, to be concrete. And then the next cycle will start. What's coming up next is disinformation in the city, a topic that unfortunately is a pressing one in many places, and now increasingly so on the regional level, when disinformation also hits greening solutions or new traffic projects that are implemented. So we'll learn a lot about this. Our guest experts are hidden behind you, Paul Costello and Ika Trisberg, and it will be taking place on the 12th of December. This is mostly it from me. Yeah, that's the outlook for 2025 even here. So you can see that webinar in February already has a date and is on inclusive social city development. And for April, we will be talking about diversity and inclusion. But now I believe, Laura, that I can share the Mentimeter link also here in the chat. Yep.
Just on the last slide, there's the QR code, and I have the screen open for the results there.
Thank you. Then we do it with the QR code. If someone can post the Mentimeter link in the Slack, in the chat as well, I think it's useful. If you have your mobile phone ready, please scan this code and share your thoughts with us. I'll leave it here on the screen a little bit, and then we will switch to Laura, who will show you the results. You can still enter words and thoughts when we have switched screens. So please, maybe give me a sign when you're done with scanning the code or when you have clicked the link. I still see a few devices directed at the screen, so we'll wait a few more minutes before we switch over to the results. Is it already filling up, Laura?
The link is in the chat. Let me just see.
So if you don't have a mobile phone to use Menti, please just click on the link that Laura kindly provided in the chat, I want to use the opportunity while we wait for a few minutes for everybody to put their thoughts down to thank everyone involved in preparing this meeting and the whole webinar series. Of course, the speakers, the cities who contributed, but also the team, Elena, Miriam, Tiana, Matis, Laura, and all the other colleagues who have joined and helped us document and count all the participants in the background. You know, there is the things you see for a webinar, and then there is the things you don't see that go into organizing something like this.
And we should now be able to see the result coming in on the screen. Inspiring.
Yes.
Growing. Please keep your responses coming in. And we always publish these on the website along with the recording and some brief impressions of each of the presentations. The presentations are also available on the website. So we know there's a lot of information in one go, but we like to make sure that you have that at your fingertips whenever you need it.
If there is something you didn't particularly like or you would like to change in the upcoming webinars, please use the evaluation that you also find in the chat, the feedback here. And also when you exit the webinar, I believe you get this link. You can also write us an email and tell us what you liked and didn't like. We're happy to learn, we're happy to improve, and we are open to your inputs always. I think it's 12 and we have a very nice feedback from your side, an impression of today's webinar. Again, thanks to everybody. Have a good day. Thank you for joining and looking forward to seeing you at the next opportunity in real life or online.